Hi everybody, welcome to Game On. My name is Justin, and today we're going to be discussing the new playable races for PCs in the 5th edition Spelljammer game that is coming out later this year. So let's strap into our helms and spelljam through wild space. So the first playable race we're going to talk about today are the Thri-Kreen, which are 7-foot tall, 4-armed mantis people from Athos. Now, what is Athos? Some of you already know what Athos is if you've played the Dark Sun campaign setting. That is the planet that the Thri-Kreen come from and what Dark Sun takes place on. A desert, barren world that is kind of a post-apocalyptic setting set in Athos space in a crystal sphere far away from the trade routes in the Phlogiston, meaning not too many people come in and out of that area. Since Athos has very little metal and other resources, many creatures from Athos, including the Thri-Kreen, have a very hard time getting out of Athos space and into the Phlogiston to explore other worlds. Not to mention the crazy violent weather that takes place on Athos that makes it hard to take off and land. Thri-Kreen tend to stay chaotic neutral and stick together in their clutches. The cool thing about Thri-Kreen is that they are not only great warriors, but they have the ability to not need to sleep, as well as they can camouflage in case they want to avoid a fight. Now, I'm excited to play Thri-Kreen because I want to play either a dexterous fighter or maybe some sort of rogue using my camouflage. Now, the next new race I want to talk about are the Autognomes. These are slapdash together haphazard automatons made by Tinkergnomes. And just saying Tinkergnomes has probably perked up the ears of some veteran players because Tinkergnomes come from Kryn, which is Dragonlance setting. These automatons are made out of scraps of metal, wood, and magical components to do what the Tinkergnomes don't really want to do, such as very hazardous things or less than ideal work jobs in space or even just on land. They are definitely different from the Warforged and Eberron because they are not perfectly made. They are more like a clockwork tin soldier, but they are very good at doing simple tasks and can follow up to 100 commands given to them by their creators. Autognomes kind of look like gnomes. They have painted faces and sometimes even have rosy red painted cheeks on them, but they definitely look like a clockwork automaton. So they are very hard to get confused with regular gnomes. However, not only do they listen to their gnome overlords, a few of them have been known to go rogue. And that means they break away from their masters and they fly wild space and the Phlogiston under their own will. That's probably what you're going to be playing as in the game, because it would be really hard to be playing as somebody and living with somebody who is your overlord at all the time. So playing as a rogue automaton would be a really interesting play style in Spelljammer. Now, Autognomes tend to stay on the lawful or neutral side of things. They tend to be at least somewhat good, and I want to play an Autognome as an artificer, mostly for the memes, because I think it would be funny. Have you ever seen Flubber with Robin Williams? Those green dancing jelly flubber guys? Well, that's basically what you are as this next playable PC race, and that is the Plasmoid. More likely, probably the Degleish Plasmoid. At least that's what they were called in earlier editions of Spelljammer. They are the most humanoid-like oozes that kind of are the same size and weight of a humanoid, but again, it's an ooze with like bluish see-through jelly. So, it's the closest that you can get. These jello-like ooze creatures can eat anything as long as it's not on fire. They come from anywhere as long as it's not dry. And they make great adventurers because they have a childlike wonder. At least that's how other races describe them. They can be kind of stupid when it comes to how interested they are in things. They are not evil. They tend to be pretty much neutral. more on the good side. They are curious, so if they accidentally kill you, they don't mean to. They're just interested in what is going on. The cool thing about oozes is that they can squeeze, but the least malleable part about their body is their brain, because they do have a big old brain. And what is cool about that brain is after a couple of hours, the brain can actually squeeze to a 1-inch diameter like everything else on the body of these creatures can. Another fun fact about Deglige plasmoids is that they secrete some sort of calcium-based substance, which allows them to be encased in kind of like an egg, and that allows them to kind of stay protected and more pointed down relative to the ground around them while they try to sleep, because that calcium isn't going to help with their AC. They just basically use it to keep themselves either glued to the ground, or if they bonk around the spaceship, they are not actually getting hurt. These creatures tend to be a little bit less likely to get hurt from non-magical weapons, especially piercing, and they are very funny in my head to think about playing as. I've never gotten to play as one, but if I do want to play one that's a wizard, because imagine a bowling pin shaped blob with a big glowing see-through brain casting lightning bolt at you. Now that's funny. Hey, if you like what you see so far, don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe if you want more tabletop gaming videos like this. Thank you, everyone. Imagine being a race known throughout the worlds as the best spell jamming crew you can hire. Now, imagine being that same species that has no idea how to actually fly a Spelljammer, only how to crew one. Well, there you have the Hadozee. Also known as deck apes, though they don't really like being called that. The Hadozee were recognized by the elves in the first Unhuman War, also known as the Great Hunt, which the elves hired the Hadozee to help fight just about every other non-humanoid out there in the very first giant space war. Of course, with years of training, the Hadozee have been able to pilot and crew their own ships, though they usually tend to stick with the highest paying benefactor. What is really interesting about them is that they have a combination of kind of ape-like features that we would know, as well as flying squirrel. Like a flying squirrel, they have patagia under their arms, meaning that they can glide, and that means that they can swoop in with a sword, slash you, and then swoop out. Now, Hadozee tend to adventure and work on ships until they are old enough to retire with their wealth, and then they go down to the Rock of Brawl, which is where most of them live after retirement. The Rock of Brawl is a large asteroid body just outside of the orbit of the moon around Toril, which is the Forgotten Realms settings planet. And there they will mate for life, have children, and then send their children to the stars. Known for their respectfulness and courteousness, Hadozee are known around the Phlogiston as being neutral to good creatures. Now, I really want to play as a college of maybe swords bard, because I like the idea of being able to swoop in, stab, 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 and then swoop out. I think that would be fun. For the love of order, honor, and the chain of command, the Giff are feared and respected throughout Wild Space and the Phlogiston as respectable martial types. Oh, I forgot to mention that they're 9 feet tall and they carry guns the size of me. Okay, but what is with the guns? Well, the Giff do not like magic. They don't see any honor in it, but they also understand its usefulness when it comes to helming a Spelljammer, as well as all the willy-nilly creatures out there that can just cast magic. They don't like magic. And, as a matter of fact, most of them still have a vestigial trait on them where they resist magic, meaning that if you wanted to heal a Giff, they would need to drink some of their fancy 33 alpha herbal tea so that they can get the full benefits of your healing spell. Okay, but again, what's with the guns? Well, it's more honorable to throw a bomb at you or shoot you with a blunderbuss than it is to cast fireball, isn't it? Giff are very possessive about their weapons, their armor, especially their fire arms made out of gunpowder. They love their bombs, they love their rifles, their blunderbusses, shotguns. They love their armor. It's very ornate. It's all a show for them because they want to be fancy. They want to be the ones that look the most beautiful and handsome on the battlefield. Because Giff tend to hang out in packs with each other, they all tend to live on Brawl. Now, Brawl is that capital city of the Rock of Brawl, but no one really knows where the Giff come from. As long as there's some water that they can wade in, they really do enjoy that. Being decked out in ornate armor, being able to run pretty quickly, and also being able to shoot firearms makes me really want to play a Giff fighter, because imagine a 9-foot tall Giff charging you with a sword in one hand and a pistol in the other hand. Now that sounds fun. Now the last race we're going to talk about today is the Astral Elves. I don't have a direct comparison to anything from older editions because the Astral Elves are technically a new race for Spelljammer. And the only thing I can tell you is what I know from the published UA, as well as some of the other blurbs that you can find from their marketing team. Now, Astral Elves have left the Feywild, so they are technically descendants of regular elves. But they live in the Astral Sea, so they can become closer to their gods. Now, anything physical in the Astral Sea does not age, meaning that some of these Astral Elves are thousands of years old. Imagine being old enough to see millennia go by, seeing civilizations rise and fall. I think that it's a very interesting way to play and portray a character as somebody who is old enough and wise enough to have seen almost everything that can happen. It's almost a little intimidating to me to play, but if I were to play an Astral Elf, I definitely want to play a sorcerer because I'm sure I have some sort of cool innate spellcasting on top of the cool traits that Astral Elves get. So that wraps up the new races that we're going to be able to play as. However, I want to know what you guys want to see next. Do you want to learn more about Celestial Body lore? Do you want to learn about the lore from the 2 big unhuman wars that ravaged all the spheres in the Phlogiston? Do you want to hear about the creatures that live in the Phlogiston and in wild space? Please let us know, as well as leave a comment for what race you are most excited to play in the new 5th edition Spelljammer. Thank you guys so much for watching. Again, my name is Justin, and as always, game on.